to take an example of that I've been a little upset about recently. When a group of kids arrive in school and they're asked to pick pronouns, that sounds to some extent like, why not? Who cares? Everyone has a pronoun. And they're presented with, they can pick a pronoun. It doesn't have to be in alignment with their actual sex, their biological sex. It needn't even be he or she. It could be they or some other option, Z or whatever. And this doesn't seem to me, or at least maybe to most people, like an ideology. It might seem as if it is just simply attempting to make the handful of kids who will not identify with their own sex more comfortable. Is that one of the kind of hidden ideologies that creeps in here?
That's a whole different topic, I would say. And I'm speaking, Andrew, as someone who was an early proponent of the use of pronouns. So let me back up and kind of explain that a little bit. So I've been teaching online since I was a teenager. I mean, like, I had online learning groups on local bulletin board systems, with the dial-up modem and AOL, America Online, and CompuServe. I had learning groups on those platforms as a teenager. And so I've been online educating before the pandemic, before everyone was pushed into it, in the 2020s. And so I've spent a lot of my life learning effective ways of engaging people in a digital format or dial-up before that. And, at that time, there was no way we didn't have Zoom. There was no way to see who's on that other side of the screen name that you're engaging with. And so I was one of the early proponents in online education, saying, so I know who someone is, tell me, what you prefer to be called. What's your name? Because sometimes people would have wacky screen names, right? And do I refer to you as he, her, him? What's your preferred way of being recognized?
It was a way of identifying people who would otherwise be basically anonymous. It was a way of getting some kind of identifying characteristic. That is not what's happening.
And to humanize things, right?
That's not what's happening now with gender ideology.
What you see so often in education is things that start off as good ideas that then become ideologically infused and then misused and misapplied in later times. And this is one of those instances, I would say, this is my own personal opinion. I'm not speaking for anyone else or any other organization, just that it's an instance where something that starts off as a good is a way of building belongingness and welcomingness, becomes ideologically infused and just goes way off the rails, as we've seen with this. And I'm saying that, Andrew, not to make anyone feel bad, or to alienate anyone or anything like that. But when we start to talk, okay, so I mentioned I worked through K through 12, and I was also, training teachers and always doing professional development for teachers. And now in my current positionality, I actually help develop whole teacher trainings and, institution-wide transformations. That was part of my work at De Anza. In one of the recent meetings that was hosted by the De Anza College Pride Center, and this is not just happening at De Anza, some of the people stood up and they said, pronouns are the right of every person. We should all be required to state our pronouns in our syllabi, course syllabi, professors. And not only that, at the start of every class, you should state your pronouns and your sexuality, and then have your students do the same. And what we're seeing there, Andrew, that's a misapplication of something that started off to be inclusive and welcoming. Now we're making it a compulsion. And we're saying you must do it and you will do it. And when things become a must and a will, it's no longer for the good of all. In fact, some of the same people that it's meant to help, it's actually harming.